go. Welcome to the Barrel Vision podcast. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands.
No, I
I
don't
felt
know.
like involving.
You're in a different position to normal.
I'm normally like chillax,
Yeah.
feet up.
I don't. I actually. The problem is I don't know what's better. Maybe because you're so.
I'll end up like that way no matter what.
You're
Like,
so
by the end,
gay.
you cannot use that as a derogatory term, Harry.
I don't
Call
like
me-
no.
Silly. I'll accept the word silly.
What instead of Tyler? Hold on. Are we actually okay? Don't answer that.
I don't know. Did you make some room? Because wasn't that something you ran out of recording space yesterday?
Yeah, Tyler. If I didn't make any room, I wouldn't be able to start recording.
That adds up. How much
I
room did you
deleted
make?
like a couple days worth of recordings probably.
All right.
No.
So unless
maybe
we do a couple.
okay. Maybe at least a day. Maybe at least 24 hours. I don't know. Something along those lines. I deleted quite a lot of stuff that we just didn't need. So I literally just went through just the files, and I found stuff. I found interesting treasures that might find their way into existence at some point. Some things that definitely won't as well. There was one thing that was really bizarre. But it was just a clip. And that I don't know how to describe it beyond that. It was just a clip, except it was just you and Tom like talking about like something that we probably shouldn't upload, and but I was completely silent because I literally wasn't audible for some reason. My audio just wasn't coming through, and it was just a really bizarre, just 50 minutes of non. Why are you doing that? Just completely throw me off. Actually, abysmal professionalism. Holy shit! Anyway, look. I wish I could do this and have it be. Actually, this probably is okay, isn't it? Because I mean, it's weird because it's got a base. No one does this, but still.
It looks like some sort of gauntlet.
Look, what?
It is rather odd. Like it's like a weapon.
All right, I apologize. I think to like stop people from just turning off in droves, we do need to actually get somewhere before we go off on another tangent about I don't know, One Piece. Speaking of One Piece, why is he called Zolo in this?
They did that for some fucking reason. In the official translation, he is called Zolo, and no one knows why. But they never changed it. They don't seem to care.
It's nonsense.
I think it's because of Zoro, right? Like Zoro is kind of a character. I mean, that one has 2 R's, I think.
Yeah, but it's still Zoro, and he's a swordsman. That must have been a death battle, right? That must have, surely.
Probably.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Has there been any deep rock anything in death battle?
I mean, I doubt it.
You could do it.
What could you even do?
I would do it through like it would be like 2 team-based things against each other. 2 games where they have like a distinct set of 4 characters or 4 classes, and it'd be like a 4v4. It'd be like the Deep Rock team versus like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something. No, 4v4.
Yeah. I guess yeah. It would have to be a 4v4.
But like the colours are completely buggered though. You wouldn't. The matchups aren't quite there because obviously Driller goes against Raphael. That's kind of obvious. But they're different colours, and I guess Michelangelo is obviously Scout. But do you even know the Turtles?
Raphael is the red one.
Well, yeah,
Michelangelo is the orange one.
Yes.
Donatello
is the purple one and the nerd, so he goes against Engineer, and Leonardo is the blue one, and he's like the leader, so he goes against Gunner.
Yeah.
Michelangelo is like the quick, like hot-headed, like quick one, I guess, which is kind of Scout, and then Raphael's just like a fucking giant, yoked psychopath.
That is something that I saw with the more recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that they actually have like really good designs, right? Like with the one with.
I think you're actually thinking of the Fortnite specifically.
No.
Where people love the Fortnite designs. People.
No, like the one that the guy who hates Dream did.
The guy
they
who
have
hates
like
Dream?
really. Yeah. You know Gumball, who got in a fight with Dream.
He
the
wasn't.
voice of Gumball.
I don't think he was in
the
it.
Amazing World of Gumball. Yeah, he was. He
Hold on
was
a
one of
minute.
the turtles.
I don't. Was he Mutant Mayhem? Oh, he was. He was Leonardo. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that art style a lot because like
Because it's the
normally
Spider Verse art
literally-
style.
they were like but they were essentially identical size wise, right? They just had a different coloured hairband and weapon, like back in previously. I think it probably wasn't until like the live action one did like Raphael actually get like bigger than
Well,
the other ones.
in the live action ones, Raphael was played by the Reacher guy, Alan Richardson. You know, the fucking giant.
No,
Yeah,
I haven't watched Reacher.
Reacher. Yeah, but
I
you
haven't,
must have
I've
seen
literally-
him. He's
No, I have never seen anything. You just keep talking about it.
I don't. I definitely don't talk about it as much as you think I do. God, that makes me think
I've
of that.
never-
There was a Batman Beyond. You know, Batman Beyond. It's like the futuristic Batman animated series. It's like set after the main animated series. It's literally a sequel series. Do you even?
Sure.
You must know about. Okay, whatever. You know, I'm not even going to go on that tangent. Clearly, you don't know enough. You don't
That's
get into
fair.
it, and you're currently still setting up your mic.
I am
Anyway,
doing no such thing.
I don't know why.
Anyone not watching?
I don't know why we're like, doing whatever the fuck we're doing right now, because we actually do have stuff to talk about.
All right.
Which
That's
is
good.
nice. Talking about the fact that this has actually been a pretty good month, all things considered, for Deep Rock, and especially considering where things are at in general in Deep Rock, and just like, well, obviously season 5 is not light years away anymore. It's actually really weird to think it's actually quite a bit closer it's quite a bit closer now than season 4 is, behind. We're actually 2/3 of the way there, which is pretty scary.
It
And
won't be
cool.
long until we start getting teasers and
I
know
think
what
it's
we're
gonna
getting.
be. I think it's literally gonna be kicked off by the anniversary, which is. We will talk about the anniversary a little bit, but I think it's going to go chronological order of like the bigger things that happened. Literally starting with I think the reveal of the update, the February update out of nowhere. The surprise of which I think was pretty quickly downplayed by it not having much in it, but it's also fair because no one. I honestly, my favorite thing about the update is kind of the fact that they just got it done early and just surprised us with it. I don't know. It's not even that. It's nothing about it aside from the fact that that's even possible, which makes the idea of season 5 getting delayed so hilarious now. Especially given that that's just not the case. That was just complete nonsense. Because we heard, and this is why you really have to take that dev stream stuff with a grain of salt, right? This really proves it, because we both heard the term spring update, which was a weird thing for them to say, but they were still referencing the March update, I'm pretty sure. And it was just before they got it, they had finished it, and then realised it was done way before March. It came out on when did it come out? On the 19th. It came out 5 days ago. Still pretty significantly early compared to the fact that it was planned for March, and based on when the last one came out, we would have expected, middle of March. So it came out, like, I would say at least 2 or 3 weeks earlier than expected, which that alone was just insane, because I don't think that's ever actually happened. An update being early.
Never been that early.
Yeah, but it couldn't really happen with any other type of update, really, in my opinion. Even before seasons, I don't think this kind of thing would have happened if they just happened to get something done. They would have stuck to when it was going to come out, They arguably went further than they needed to in adding the beer at all, and if they didn't, they probably could have got this out, like, within the first week of the year, They didn't add the fucking
Thing is,
beer.
yeah, but that actually would have been like, I don't know. Like that, if that was all it was, that would have been what I originally thought maintenance updates would have been, right? Like
Yeah.
that would have been just like they patched the armor break bug and a bunch of other little tiny tweaks, right? Like, which is good. It's still good, but like I think they know they expected more for this one, right? And obviously it's still not as much as the last one, but it's with the beer, it's still good. Like the beer is pretty damn fun.
Well, yeah, this shows, first of all, I think, how much we did genuinely underestimate them. I think, especially with the first one, especially with the November update, more so than this one, because that was if we just think about, because we're going to be doing this, we're going to be comparing the two inevitably. The November maintenance update is obviously going to be much more impactful, I think, and I think that is literally just because of the weapon maintenance system and like the weapon balancing. That alone just has so much weight to it, and it's a really good combination of two things as well. You know, a really like cool dosage of weapon balancing combined with a new incentive to just use weapons in general is a really good mixture. And on top of that, you've got like the season content toggle and things like that. But yeah, I think we did underestimate them, and I think they underestimated themselves though, frankly, because I think what we were expecting, at the very least, what I was expecting from the maintenance updates would be this one minus the beer. That's what I was expecting from the maintenance updates, which would have been fucking nothing. It would have been pointless. You know, there would have been no reason to have any kind of marketing or any kind of bigging. Not that they've done much,
it would have
but
been just
there would
like
have been
patches,
nothing. It would have just been done through patches, and therefore it wouldn't have felt like they were doing anything. But and that's why I think the beer exists, because I feel like they just sort of felt the need to do something. I like to think of it as the metaphor of like when you're like a child, you like scraped your knee, so you go to the doctors and they give you a bandage and a lollipop, right? And the lollipop is the only good part about it, but it doesn't last as long as the bandage. The bandage just kind of has to sit there until the wound is healed, and the bandage is all the bug fixes, and the lollipop is the drink, which is just gonna, it's gonna wear out pretty quickly because it's all people are going to be doing for a little while.
Ultimately,
but it still tastes sweet. It still tastes sweet, and you still have the bandage is still doing something good at the same time, even if you don't want it there, or even if it doesn't taste of anything, because you're not supposed to eat it. you're just supposed to let it sit there. That's what bug fixes are in a lot of cases. So I think that's a really good way of putting it, and it's why I'm not really surprised they were able to get it out early, because that's another thing that's just once again proven that we probably underestimated them. I think which means they probably did get carried away with the first one, though. I think that's actually pretty definitive, right? I don't know how definitive, but I think it's pretty obvious they got a bit carried away with the first one, in the sense of the weapon maintenance system had no reason to exist based on what they said maintenance updates were going to be. And it was really, to me,
if you take the lollipop and the bandage kind of thing, right? I think all of the weapon balancing, or no, honestly, the weapon balancing, I would argue, is more lollipop, right? Like, I think that was just kind of like because they could and because it went well before. But I think it was the like Rockbox toning, right? All that stuff. The seasonal toggle. Those two things were the bandage, I think, right? Of that update. Those two were like, even though obviously the toggle was a good thing, it kind of like it had to be done, right? It became one of those things where it was like, just you have to have the toggle. Like, everyone was like, we want a toggle. We don't want to play against the Rockbox, even though the Rockbox was then improved during the update. It's kind of like tough, too little, too late. But I don't know. I think it's just like most of the update was bandage. Like, I think, and the lollipop. I mean, even then, like with the weapon balancing being a lollipop, it might not be still. You could easily say it was still a bandage. Like, it could have been the weapon changes that they didn't get round to doing in the season, like that they wanted to do but couldn't end up doing in the end. So I could see that
I would say that if the weapon balancing in that maintenance update wasn't mostly just 2 weapon overhauls, where they'd already done their weapon overhaul for season 4, and that's the only bit of weapon balancing season 4 technically launched with. That's not true, actually. It launched an experimental with just that, but it launched properly with all the experimental balancing added into the main patch notes, which was a very good move. Which brings up an issue that I still have with these updates, in that you can't see these patch notes in game, right? When you load up the game and you get like that main menu, it's still just all season 4. And this is probably my biggest issue with the way they've been handling this, is that they haven't tried to move things away from season 4 still. like in any way in terms of like the game's the way the game markets itself to like new people, I guess. It's still just season 4 is just right there and that's it. And that's because that's not going to change because that's the current season and it's going to last until season 5 for anyone, for new players basically. So, there's no reason for them to change going to like season neutral. But I feel like they just for the sake of most of the people who were still paying attention to the game during this time, they should maybe try and move past season 4, but I don't think there's any point now. To be honest, I think we're very quickly about to be on the road to season 5. I think that's right. Like beginning that stage is right around the corner, so I don't think they really need to do that now. It's just I was kind of expecting maybe with the first maintenance update they were gonna possibly have some kind of way of indicating that there isn't. It's not really a season at the moment. Season 4 would still be active, but I don't know. And I think that first one still did some things that made it feel like we're moving into a slightly different era of the game, which is, weirdly enough, I think the Dead era, right? And it's something that people need to understand. Because what I've been doing, and I do not recommend anyone else to do this, is looking at the Steam comments under these update posts. In fact, any recent post, because it's a really horrible, and I don't think people should take it seriously because this is kind of just what you get in internet forums. You just get the extremes. You get dick riders, and you also get like really just annoying like trolls, basically. It's literally just those two things. Just people like screaming like dead game and whatever. And the worst part is they're not even wrong, but they still don't know what they're saying.
You have to picture the people that are going to be in the Steam comments, right?
Yeah.
They are not only the people that are passionate enough to be looking at the Steam posts, right? Which is already not that many people, I think, but then even more passionate enough to where they comment on them, right? Which at that point it whittles it down to two types of people: the people passionately fighting for Deep Rock and the people passionately fighting Deep Rock. Like,
yeah,
like,
it's not a casual discussion forum down there. It's kind of a fucking war zone, and it's actually kind of funny because I pity both sides and it's something I don't think we have many points of pride, but I think one of them is I think we do maintain a fairly level, not inherently a middle ground, but at the very least a level head that can result in a middle ground. Some people just can't have a middle ground in how they feel about anything, and it's really kind of just up. Like this is just in general, like especially on the internet. It's how it makes people's opinions, like it condenses them. Like Twitter, for example, like the character limit forces people to be really like snappy and non-elaboratory, and I think it just harms how people form opinions. And now it's all just so extreme and polarized, which is why we do a podcast. We can actually talk about things instead of like what other people do, which is just leave comments that don't really mean anything. Because the truth is, especially compared to when a season is, the two to 3 months on either side of a season, Deep Rock is comparatively to that. It is dead right now. And I think Ghost Ship have accepted that, and I think that's why these updates. It's why these updates only get a couple weeks of work put into them, because they cannot afford to be putting loads of work into the game at this time. Because if they did, then it would be just them trying to bring it out from being dead, and instead of just focusing on road core. I think they know the game is going to die in between seasons from now on. And I think they've accepted that until road core comes out, of course, which will be a completely different story after that. But
a good faith way of putting it is it's been put like into a induced coma by Ghost Ship, that they they have added, they're not adding seasons for a while, or well, they are now, but a year until the next season, right? They knew making that decision that the player counts would just plummet, right? It's going to be common obvious knowledge, right? But ultimately they probably don't care, right? I think it's well within
they can't afford to care if they want. No, they can't afford
Yeah.
to care if they want to stick to their guns, stick to what they said about how they really believe that their dedication to road core is worth the time and worth the lack of time spent on Deep Rock. To stick to that, they need to stick to that and accept the fate of Deep Rock itself for now. I think for now is actually really important, because it needs to not be dead when season 5 comes around. I think it's really obvious that it will. But if season 5 doesn't do something, then that's when we can start to be worried. But I think it very obviously will, and I think just them accepting that, it's going to take season to do that now. I think the maintenance updates, they're just not going to be doing anything at all. It makes me even wonder if we're going to do like the Steam charts thing for this one. I think what I'll do is probably take a look at it, right, and see if there's been any notable changes. But I would say chances are there hasn't been. And I think that they're okay with that, because it's a really weird. It's a really weird part of the player base to be catering to, though, isn't it? The maintenance updates, which is people who are playing the game anyway, and it's still then it's not making them want to play more. It's more so just making it better. What they're doing, making that better, not giving them more reasons to play, though. That's the kind of weird thing.
I wouldn't say
it's kind of a small reason to boot up the game again.
I wouldn't say they're giving any reason to play again. I don't think that was their goal for any of it, to be honest with you. I think their goal was to just make the game better. So when like season 5 occurs, the game's in the best state it can be when there's actual content and there's actual hype behind stuff, which is obviously, I think it's beginning, right? Like, I think the hype is picking up, and this is maybe slightly egotistical, but there's there's tons of factors, but I'll go with this one.
Mm-hmm.
We stalled subscriber-wise for like the last 3 months, give or take. Like, we sat at 800, which is still cool, but that's a fact. And just recently, it started going up again, like to a reasonable amount, or just like the usual amount previously. And I'm just saying that, like, I think that's a sign. I think that with the maintenance packs that just occurred, which obviously did a little bit, but is not going to do tons, but the anniversary right corner, and with the anniversary giving out the armor, there is some hype there now, right? There is some serious hype for that armor, which I think we'll get into more later, I assume. But once the anniversary comes out, I think it's only going to be uphill from, not uphill, because it's just like a roller coaster up from there. I think the anniversary is going to give us a roadmap, and I would imagine we would start seeing teasers, or not teasers, but they're going to be vocal about specifics probably soon after.
It's almost like if we do, we're just doing like fucking weird metaphors today, I guess. Well, I guess this most recent update, is like one of the, you've just got to like, Legoland or something. You've just got to the theme park. You've gone on like a small ride, I guess, is what the maintenance update is. And then you're about to go to like, get some lunch or something, which is anniversary. And then as soon as the anniversary is over, you get on the roller coaster. It's like the fucking massive roller coaster though, and like the longest part of it. Well, not even the longest part of it, but it's like it takes hours for it to get to the top, and it's like a really slow climb. But it's still you're still on the roller coaster though, which makes it inherently exciting.
Whenever season 5 launches, that'll be the peak. And then hopefully, for the love of God, it's a very fun roller coaster, because the thing is, I think we both have like 99.99% like confidence that season 5 is going to be at least good, right?
Yeah.
Like better than season 4, definitely, probably as good, if not better than season 3, right?
I think
like,
no. Listen, I think it will be better than season 3, and I think it's literally. So first of all, I don't think it's really inappropriate to be talking about season 5, but we always do it, and I'm very thankful for the fact that pretty soon it's going to be more justified. But still, the one thing that we know, I kind of want to do like, I guess, a quick, I don't know, micro debate about this. The one thing we know is new overclocks, and I guess the question of whether that immediately beats out new grenades. And the answer is yes, by the way. It actually does.
Oh, was it? Right, yeah, beats out new grenades. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like, because
I think
it's
this
like,
is
obviously
a decision.
Yeah. When we thought about, like, I guess ages ago, I guess even pre-season 3, or maybe just after season 3, what like the next step would be in terms of equipment additions, it's like, there are 2 very obvious avenues to go down, and they're finally going down one of them, but it was always like, for overclocks, we definitely aimed too high in terms of predicting how many would be added. It was always like, a couple for literally every weapon. I feel like it was generally what it was, like 2 or so for
Yeah.
like every gun. Instead, they're currently aiming for 1 for half of them. But even
I
then,
think
that's 12. That's 12 overclocks compared to 4 grenades.
yeah, and I think that there's a certain admission as well that like they aren't gonna add a clean that adds +1 damage and +1 ammo, right? They're not gonna be adding any like
Plus
simple
1
stat.
ammo. What is that? What weapon is that?
In like the PGL, that might have.
Yeah, but in a PGL, plus 1 damage doesn't make sense, though. See,
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Maybe no, it doesn't work. You would either have more. Point is, I cannot imagine a universe where one of those 12 overclocks is going to be a clean, simple stat boost. Like that is like if the, it well, all right, the 12 will not be it, but if we get one, it will be because we get more than 12. Right, that's what I would say. That like they would add it extra onto whatever the actual one. I think there is going to be 12 new interesting overclocks of any variety because some cleans do seem to have the go ahead to do wacky things, right?
Yeah, I don't know what would get.
So-
I don't know what would inherently get a wacky clean. I would hope something that doesn't have a wacky clean. I
think-
guess.
Preferably Driller would get something because he doesn't have a wacky anything. I don't think. Like, I mean, like
Google was
you could
special pretty
argue
wacky.
Snowball, I guess, but
I think the flamethrower could do with something like silly, good, but
Yeah.
kind of silly still. I don't know what that would be.
It would be like sticky flames boosts movement speed, and it's like
That's
hot feet or
literally
something.
exactly what I was literally about to say. Hot feet. I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
So that's
Yeah.
disgusting. That's disgusting.
great minds think alike.
We should kiss.
But
Well, yeah. I guess I kind of like the idea of something that actually makes the flamethrower a lot weaker, but it actually converts terrain into hot rocks, which is like a permanent but kind of weak source of fire. I don't know. That could be interesting. Probably difficult to balance, but yeah. Well, basically, what we mean is they're all going to be sort of kind of like that. Maybe that's a bit extreme, but they're all going to be notable. And even then, there's the other half of season 5, which, well, I feel like half is almost disingenuous because there's going to be a lot of aspects to it. I think there's still going to be a seasonal event. There's still going to be, I think, just whatever the actual themed content is. We don't even really know, but even then, we think it's like a 90% chance we're going to get a biome or a mission type as well, just based on what's being said. And I think the mission type takes up more of that 90%, but I think that's still there. And either of those things so hilariously beats out Lithophage Outbreak. As just even Lithophage Outbreak as like a weird pseudo warning / mission. Doesn't matter. A mission type or biome will just completely obliterate it.
And it is like biome is like, I would say biome's only as good as it is because people really want one because it's been ages since we've gotten one, right?
Yeah.
Like, not inherently because they're super good or super valuable, but just because we haven't got one in so long that they're desired, right? But with the game mode, people are like, oh, the most recent game mode they added, it's
But that's
industrial sabotage.
That's kind of the reason
Like,
why.
ooh.
Though that's kind of the reason why it's that's why it's a good idea though.
Yeah, especially because we also know that they are consciously aware that is not good, and they're gonna do a more simple one, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if we get a game mode, it's gonna be closer to more kite mining than industrial sabotage. Is kind of the picture they painted, really.
Yeah, basically what I'm saying, because we need to not be talking about season 5 right now. What I think season 5 will be though is basically probably like season 3, probably around that in terms of size, but with all of the content, better choices in what all the content actually
where they
is.
didn't just go, I guess we should do this. We've done all the guns, so I guess we should do the grenades, I guess. And then it's like,
yeah, I mean, think
I
about
guess,
that though.
yeah.
Like, think about I can't really hold it against some people who just don't have like a particularly good reason to play the game anymore, or haven't for a while, is what I mean. Because I think that's going to change. But just think about how fucking derelict equipment has been. Basically, I mean, the grenades were something. They were. that was the last time we got any like actual additions to our equipment, right? That you can equip and choose between in your actual loadouts. And that's me basically saying how jetty boots doesn't count, right? And that was in November of 2022. And even then, the grenades are kind of iffy anyway. So you could even go back to the weapons in Season 2, which is May 2022, which means it's going to have been about over 2 years since Season 2, when we get Season 5. And yeah, equipment and like just big content has actually just been missing for so long. Like genuinely. And it's really that's like, that sounds really bad, and I think it kind of is, actually. I'm not going to pretend like that's not a bad thing. I think Ghost Ship thought that they were in a good enough place after Season 1 to not inherently have to worry about like things like weapons overclocks, missions and biomes and stuff like that. And I think that they were, but they dragged it out for too long. As in, Season 4 didn't justify not bringing those things, but Season 4 was also in a really awkward position of being like I know now that they had started working on Rogue Core as the expansion before Season 4 came out, and I think that's one of the reasons why Season 4 was just kind of directionless. But still, it's just been too fucking long, and I think that's why they're being very careful about what they put in Season 5. And I think that's why they're going to make the right choice, finally. But I think the way Season 4 was positioned, they almost couldn't choose. They just scrambled. They didn't really have time to choose. But now they got so much time now, you know, and they've already started working on Season 5. At least some people have. Like Anders has talked about how he's like just balls deep in making overclocks right now. And he hasn't been working on anything else apart from Season 5 anyway. And they've been talking about it since like October anyway, when they mentioned new overclocks and mission types and things. They've had loads of time to think about it, which means they're going to be going into it, I think, knowing for the most part what they're going to do, which is also really important because sometimes they just don't know what they're doing before they start making it. I think that's different this time as well, which is going to make Season 5 good, basically. It's going to make Season 5 very good.
Yeah.
But apart from that, we need to kind of, I don't know how much we're going to get out of these things, but we do need to talk about the update in sort of like a more systematic manner, I suppose. Not that I want to talk about literally every miscellaneous bug fix, but I guess starting at the top of the February maintenance update is I don't know why I'm like I don't know why I'm thinking I should just have it up, but it's I guess the arm breaking bug basically, or the arm breaking fix, which is one of the oldest things in the game, because it predates the majority of the weapons that it actually affects, it actually predates. It goes way back to the PGL, and that armor breaking mod's just not working. Although, frankly, I think the PGL is people think it's like the hero of this. I think that's nonsense, because I think Incendiary Compound is still going to just completely dominate the PGL forever until they do something about that. But yeah, this age-old bug was finally fixed, and I just think that speaks to these maintenance updates and their necessity, because people... I didn't really get to what I wanted to say about the Steam comments thing. You get people talking about, like, where's the actual content? And it's just like, look at all these fucking ancient issues that they're actually getting to, because they've been put in this position where they have to make smaller updates.
There's nothing else to do.
Yeah. They put in the time to make big content right now would be completely betraying their dedication to Rogue Core, but they still have the time to do this, and it means they get to be very specific and very I guess also non-specific. But this does not have to be the kind of thing that's going to appeal to new players. This is just like what's stuff that we need to fix, and that's literally what this one was. Aside from the beer, this is them just going down the list of the highest priority issues on please fix, which is exactly what it should be. I think the first maintenance update was different because it's like it was so obvious what needed to be done in terms of like a big fix of sorts.
Rockpox needed to be dealt with
Yeah.
in one way or another.
And in my opinion, that left them in a position of lacking an essential path to go down. Like, there was nothing that was like screaming for help, but they still had to make this update. So it's like, okay, let's just go down the list and hit the things that are affecting people and possibly have been for a while. And that's how you get to fixing armor breaking, finally. In the form
It's certainly
of...
what people shout about the most.
Yeah, in the form of, you know, it literally improving it in the sense of having it work on projectile weapons, and in the way that it didn't work before on projectile weapons, because what it would do would make it so that the shot that breaks the armor would be absorbed by the armor, which is not how it's meant to work. It's still meant to damage the enemy through the armor, and that's the main thing that's changed in terms of the projectile weapons. But then also actually making armor scale properly, which I didn't realize this was a thing either. This was probably the well, this is the broad up side of it, because the weapon thing mainly affects those the three projectile weapons that the three projectile weapons that are like that. Obviously, the sludge pump is a projectile weapon, but it's not the same as these other ones. The EPC would have been affected if the EPC had an arm breaking modification, by the way. So tells you that. So it's PGL, Hurricane, and Drak. But aside from that, the broader thing is actually fixing how armor works. Where heavy armor didn't actually scale with hazard level, which means that heavily armored enemies are actually slightly stronger now. As you go above hazard 2, they used to just be stuck at hazard 2 levels of armor strength, and now that's changed as well. But that's all really like technical mumbo jumbo gameplay shit that you'll experience if you're playing. But if you seek it out, it's not the kind of thing that you're gonna be motivated to seek out. But it's still just an emblem of the point of these updates, which is, or one of the coolest things that's happened in these updates so far, which is addressing old shit, you know. Which is something that, oh my god, yeah, just getting to old issues and tackling aspects of the game that have been a certain way for a really long time, that we have put down to A, oversights, and B, things that they don't inherently care about, and also C, both of those things at the same time. And this is shown, this alongside, I think, the electrocution thing. I think they're very, whoa, look at that. I think this, alongside the electrocution changes in the last update, is like a really cool duo of like just looking back at how a mechanic works and just setting it straight, basically. Because I think there's kind of the same thing across the two updates. They sort of mirror each other. So that's why I do actually appreciate the arm breaking thing, even if it doesn't excite me per se. But that's the whole point. I just respect the fact that it's being done, and that's, aside from like the fun parts, which is literally just the beer, it's just like accepting that a thing needed to be done. You know, it's why I called this update a necessary neutral. You know, because I think evil would be a really horrible word to use, even though that's like really the common colloquially understood phrase, a necessary evil. But it's like a necessary neutral. It's just like, it's kind of just had to be done, and that kind of just leads into, I guess, just not a big compliment, but a very basic compliment, which is, once again, at least it's an update where everything in it is good, or there's nothing bad in it.
Yep.
So you win over season 4 once again, I guess.
Yeah, less people complaining about it for sure. I mean, if that's a metric worth valuing, then it's valuable. Because it's not hard to be so accepted when you don't actually add that much. But it's a simple formula, it seems. You basically add the content that people want you to add, and good things occur, right? Like, it's pretty surprising, that, you know, how that works. Which is obviously with the mistake season 4. But yeah, which is another reason why I think season 5 is going to be so good. They've clearly learned their lesson. Just focus on making stuff that people actually want instead of stuff that they might want. But yeah,
I mean, this update, oh shit, what was I going to say? Fuck. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Why do I do this?
to mention
Fucking
it.
brain rot. Did you just? What are you doing? What are you looking at? It's like a bug in the corner of your room.
There's a cat.
There's a
You want
cat.
to see it?
No, no, I don't.
Yeah, you do. Can you see it?
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
That's why I was looking
No,
scared.
what I was saying is, I think you're completely right about season 5, because season 5 doesn't have as much responsibility now to do these kinds of things. You know, a lot of the stuff that we've been getting in the maintenance updates is the kind of thing that could be put into, I guess, that really fucking long list of miscellaneous bugs and changes that you get with every season, right? And I expect that list to be a lot shorter in season 5, because I expect, personally, for most of the season 5 development, be put down to making cool shit, basically, as opposed to, frankly, the boring shit that the maintenance updates have been catering to. That's necessary to do.
The boring necessaries. So now they're just gonna we've been getting the lollipops and the band-aids, the lollipops and the band-aids, mostly band-aids. Season 5 doesn't need to give you any band-aids. It's just gonna be a fucking lollipop fest or a different
Maybe
type of
go
food, a
above
buffet,
that.
if you were.
Yeah.
Like it's just gonna be, well, from what we're aware, either a biome or a game mode, which is fuck yeah, and overclocks for all the primaries, which is also fuck yeah. And that's the essentially, like, they're probably going to be the biggest two things, but they are also the bare minimum that we know of, right? Like, two major huge things which I think everyone wants and looks forward to, and generally, even if they vaguely fuck up, it still wouldn't be that bad, right? First of all, there's no universe where they're messing up all 12 overclocks, right? But they're probably like one or two of them are going to be not good or really annoying. But oh well.
Well, I trust. I don't know. I trust Mike and Anders, because they're basically just that's just their game. Anders is just an overclock machine for some reason, which is cool. And then Mike is just really actually just good at weapon balancing. I don't think there's been a single change made since he just sort of got his I don't know, started drinking fucking battery acid spaghetti in season 4. I don't think he made a single wrong turn with weapon balancing. So just let those two guys at it, and we just get good results, basically.
Exactly. And with the biome game mode, I think like the game mode could be as bad as not just industrial sabotage, but escort duty. It could be as bad as escort duty. It's very unlikely.
I think the only way it could be bad is if it's like if it heavily features like the new like seasonal enemies, whatever, and they happen to be fucking awful. That's the only way I could see it being bad.
Like that.
But
or it's like an hour-long mission or some bullshit.
yeah, I think it needs to be. It needs to be. I think one that actually is similar to Mine Expedition in a lot of ways. I want a mission type that has a very short and a very, weighty version. I want that again, where even on-site refining, and from then on, on-site refining, escort duty, industrial sabotage, all feel like they have a fairly fixed scale to them. I want a mission type that can be really compact and also really sprawling and intensive, just taxing on your soul, but also really casual and light at the same time, which is Egg Hunt and Mine Expedition. I just want one of those, and I think that is what they're going for.
And that seems to be there.
But I think,
even way, I think it would still be a more good than bad, even if it is bad, right? Like, I feel like even if they fuck up with those two things that we essentially know we're getting, as long as they're there, thumbs up. It's going to be better than season 4, given. But then it'll be fighting for season 3 if they're actually bad. But like, it's almost so free how good season 5 is going to be, with how like good these maintenance patches, which are essentially not meant to have been anything. Like, there is probably a reason why they don't really talk about them that much, because they don't seem to value them too much. But despite that, they've been selling themselves short.
I kind of want to ask that question and see if we can answer it. It's like, do they or do they not value them? I think it's literally just based on the way it goes internally. Like, I think they liked the first one in some ways more, and that's why you kind of had a more full-on trailer explaining it. Whereas this one, they got it done pretty quickly. They sort of banged it out, and it was like just sort of a mostly technical thing. It's like, okay, but what can we do? Well, we can make a beer, and then we can push that. And I kind of want to talk about that as the sort of a weirdly mixed aspect of it, where I have seen, and this is in the same context of, you know, the fucking directs that I was talking about earlier in Steam comments, but still, bringing up the beer has been a recurring thing, and it's just like, oh wow, is that it, right? That kind of sentiment. And I would say, yeah, that is it, but in a very deliberate sense of that's the only thing about this update that can be pushed in any way by Ghost Ship. But unfortunately for some people, that makes it come across like that's something that they've put, you know, a lot of time into or something. Like that's like the entire point of the update. It's not the point of the update. It's just the only thing they can push about it. It's the only thing that has any kind of marketing, like grounds of marketing whatsoever.
Well, yeah, because I think that all this is probably maybe the best way to put it. Without the beer, it's just a patch.
Yeah.
Right.
Or just a couple like fixes. I would say it's roughly equal to quite a few patches. Like I'd say about half a dozen patches. It's roughly equal to that actually, because the patches can be pretty small. And also, general patches don't usually cover things like, you know, multiple year old bugs as well.
Exactly.
So it's a patch, still, but I'd say it's a very it's a update focused on patches, kind of. It's an update composed of patches, deliberately chosen patches.
But like, I think they knew that you really couldn't call it an update if it was only patches. Like, you kind of just couldn't call it an update if you didn't actually add anything. And that's, I think, what the beer was. And within that, I think, as we mentioned previously, the beer is fun, right? Like we had quite a lot of fun with the beer. I'm not sure how much more fun we're gonna have with it.
Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know what it's gonna be. It could be like, I can see myself, you know, in a multiplayer setting, you know, using it between at least like once between every mission actually, because what we were doing, we only did when we live streamed yesterday. We only played 2 missions in total, and that's because we played, you know, at least 3 rounds of Hidden Dwarf, like it's what you're supposed to call it, a prop hunt. 3 rounds of prop hunt in between every mission. Before, after the first one, after the second one, and then again when we managed to get Tom involved. It's mostly just that. So we definitely put a lot in there. But I feel like, you know, spread out and just sort of like an extra thing to do, it's actually good. It's just another mini game, and I actually really like, by the way, genuinely, Ghost Ship's sort of method of adding mini games, in that every method has been different. They're all implemented in different ways, which is actually kind of interesting. It's not, you know, we've talked about adding more arcade cabinets, sure, but it's actually the main reason why I think the mini games in Deep Rock actually work is because it's not just like a cabinet of games that you can just play inside Deep Rock. It's literally games that you play inside Deep Rock. It's all like very integrated, you know? The Barrel Hoop is the oldest one. It's like a very physical thing. The arcade machine is kind of the least, but it's also tied to an in-game mechanic. And it's like, it's also a literal arcade machine that you put credits in. And then the football is like something that you can set up like wherever you want as well, which is cool.
And I think,
and then there's literally hide and seek, which just takes you literally take a drink. It makes no fucking sense that it's a drink, but it's still, and it just takes advantage of the space rig, and it's just like, it's good implementation. It's definitely the weirdest drink in terms of like, it makes someone a hunter, it gives them a bunch of balls, and it turns everyone else into fucking objects. It's like, what the fuck? I mean, like a mini game stored within a drink, but I think that's
who knows? Cool. Maybe they could have been inspired by turns you into a sausage idea for the beer, but like I think it is interesting how the mini games work in the hub, because while they're always good additions, like they added the football thing. We played with it for like maybe an hour top within like the week they released, and we basically never really touched it since.
Yeah,
right?
well, the football
Like,
one's the least. It's just the least of the
when have you
bunch.
touched the barrel hoop either?
I
Like, when have you
sometimes just
last
do
used the
it
barrel hoop?
when I run past it, and then like if I score, I might keep going until I stop scoring, basically.
Yeah. And like it's like those kind of things where it's like it's fun when you add them, but then once they're kind of gone, they will fade from your memory, and then they won't really become a thing. But I think it's still like good that it's there, right? Especially for new players. I think having those mini games there must be really cool for new players. Imagine being a new player and you just pull up into some random hub and he orders the prop hunt beer. Like, this isn't in, like, I don't know, a couple months or something where it's not like prevalent like knowledge, and you just end up playing prop hunt in the middle of the rig. Like, what the hell? Like, that is going to be such a crazy experience to have. And then obviously that's the same with the football thing. Like, whenever people discover that, I bet that's quite an interesting find. The barrel hoop is obviously quite obvious. Same with jetty boots, but I don't know. And I love that they have no. It seemed like they have no intentions to stop adding mini games to the hub, right? Like, that seems to be one of the things that they are pretty dedicated more than anything else to keep adding. Really, like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I
we've
need
got
I don't know if
more
I
mini
need one in
games.
season 5 though.
Yeah,
It
we've got like more
depends.
mini games within the last like 3 years, 2 years than biomes. like
Yeah,
it's
okay, so that's like a really weird sentence because it's like in some ways it sounds obvious. Well, it's like, yeah, mini games are like they're easier to make, aren't they? And it's like, they are correct, but
you've made quite a few of them now.
yeah, without sort of other things being involved in development for quite some time.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean,
that doesn't matter. What matters is that actually it is pretty fun, and
yeah.
I think it should be very easy for them to add more props as well. We talked about that. I actually really like the idea of it being specifically when an event's on. It actually utilizes event props, right? Because I think they literally call them props sometimes in the Steam posts regarding holiday events. Just like, oh, we got a new shipment of fucking summer props or whatever, and then it's just like it's just like a bit more themed. And then it's like, oh, what's this fucking palm tree doing in the memorial hall? It probably might actually be maybe it won't work too well actually, but still. Yeah, I mean, it's the thing that's going to give the update any kind of mileage, really, because the rest is just so technical, but still good. And I do want to actually point out some highlights. I think the Dreadnought one is technically a highlight, as in they propped that up, where they fixed this Dreadnought teleporting issue that I've personally never experienced because I am not a client, I am an employer. What's the opposite of client? Host? Is that right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
So yeah, Dreadnoughts don't teleport anymore. Great. Where was the next one that I actually thought was kind of cool? Yeah, so I suppose this is actually a thing that is sort of for people, new people or people who haven't necessarily done everything in terms of like every season. Where there was a thing about cargo crates where they were just getting bloated to hell, because of everything that went in them. Because there's so many frameworks now. There's like, I don't know how many. I know it's like hundreds, as in multiple hundreds. It must be in terms of the individual items of frameworks that you can get out of a cargo crate. But it also had every Bosco framework and skin in there as well, which apparently wasn't intentional. And so they've been moved to the Lost. First of all, I don't believe them, right? I don't believe that it's not intentional. They said they fixed a bug that put those things in the cargo crate. I think that's a lie. I think they just realised that it was just too much and they moved them to the Lost Packs. I just don't think they wanted to say that they didn't foresee the bloat of the cargo crates.
It seems like it's too late now, but I'll reiterate the idea that they would have added a new version of those things, and it would have been like a broken Bosco, where you would then harvest it and gain a Bosco cosmetic, something along those lines.
And
Bosco related
and a Bosco
stuff.
teammate.
Maybe that too, if you repair it.
Zyark,
But
Child Sucker, Bosco. Well, no,
I
people.
wasn't
That is
thinking boss.
that is
I was
an old
thinking more
idea
just
though, like
scrap on the floor.
of an infected Bosco like attacking you, and you have to just one sucker. I don't know. I want that. I want to get killed by Bosco. Oh my god.
You want
What
everything.
was that? There's that really old bug. I swear this was a thing where Bosco just attacked you sometimes. It just mowed you down until you died. That was I don't know what caused that or if that was even real, but I swear he did that. I
I
swear.
think that might have just been a nightmare of yours.
Yeah, it would be.
I think with how much time you spend with Bosco, I mean, you played with him more than anyone.
Yeah. So there's another one. There's another thing that's kind of like that where I'm not sure how much I believe them that it was a bug. Although it's more believable. This is where they fixed supposedly that people who hadn't unlocked Hazard 5 stop doing that. People who hadn't unlocked Hazard 5 could join Hazard 5 missions through the server list. Basically now, if you haven't unlocked Hazard 5, you can't see Hazard 5 missions in the server list. Which is that's going to change something because that's a big point of contention across the community, which is having people who aren't prepared for Hazard 5 join their games and kind of just fuck up or fuck things up for them. It's been another long-term issue once again. So thank God they did that, but it's still not going to do everything because I would say there are still more people who have Hazard 5 unlocked who aren't ready for it than there are who just haven't unlocked it though. You know,
it saves like the level 2s joining your Has 5 mission though. At least
it
right?
saves them more so. It saves the people who are under. It saves them from accidentally joining Hazard 5. You still get people who are aware of it but just aren't good enough for it.
It seems like one of the worst things you can do actually. What's the arrow? One of the worst things you can do actually, like as a new player, is like go over your depth or some bullshit. Like trying a hazard that is way harder than what you can deal with seems to just like kill the game. Like, because I think that's what we did accidentally for like most of the people we tried getting into Deep Rock. We would then throw them in on our difficulty setting, and they would die all the time. E.g., James. I think one of the main reasons James doesn't like Deep Rock is because we keep playing Has 5 with him, and he just dies all the time, and that's not fun. So this could be, not just like the high level players not wanting newbies in their game. This is also, you want to guarantee a newbie never plays the game again, throw him in like the deep end, basically.
Yeah,
they will drown and they won't want to play again. So I think this is Ghost Ship kind of covering their ass with that.
Yeah.
And
fair enough.
making sure the new players are actually within the news. They're still going to join a Has 4 game. They're still going to get their ass beat, but it won't be as bad.
Yeah.
So plus it won't be affecting the sweaty lords that will complain about it on like Reddit or something that are doing like Has 5 with like class locked characters, like where you can only have one of everyone. Like they can't accidentally join one of those sweat lords games.
I kind of don't understand these people really though, because I mean, I'm like a 98% exclusively solo player, but when I'm playing multiplayer, I do actually like to just have anyone on board. I think it's funny. I don't care if someone joins who is complete dog shit. I'll just handle it.
It's the thing that you agreed to when you made it online.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
exactly. I also kind of just thrive on having like a more. The more enemies that you get from multiplayer. I enjoy that because I'm a fucking nutcase, I guess, or at least I roleplay as one. When I played, even though the Nut Job 2, Electric Nuts. Get your hand away from your face. Drink some.
I had scratchy eye.
Drink some caffeine from the teat of the coffee bean. Coffee.
I don't like coffee. Yeah.
You do like tea? Do you like tea? You like tea?
I don't think I like tea. Makes me feel ill.
What?
I
Shut
don't know.
up.
It just makes me feel bloated.
Okay.
Like so heavy. And it's probably just because it's warm. I don't like warm drinks.
Oh. Okay, whatever. I would say there are two more things that are kind of neat in this update of sorts. This one is very much so just a fix. A fix actually based on an oversight. I think they kind of admit it was an oversight, which is, what the fuck are you doing?
What?
The fuck? Don't do that. Thank you. Which is with the weapon maintenance system, where you used to basically be stopped from earning XP on a weapon if you had a paint job to claim. And that's just been removed, basically, where now you can just earn it all before claiming any of the paint jobs. Potentially meaning you could claim them all in one. It's a very basic quality of life thing that should have been there in the beginning, but was still there. So is still there now. So you can enjoy that feature, I guess. I don't think I care. I guess the best thing about it is in the context of the mission where you hit the quota for the next paint job, it means you still have that little bit, I guess, to start off in the next one in that context, which I guess is nice. I personally don't care. I kind of want it. I kind of like things to last as long as possible, which is bad for me. But yeah, this is something that people have been asking for. One of the, I guess, the only things that wasn't quite right about the last update would have been this. And even then, it's not like, no one actually had a problem with the addition of the weapon maintenance system. It's just like, why can't I earn it all in one go? Although I can't say I feel sorry for the people who tried to do that. They went through and earned all the experience, maybe for just one weapon, or two, I guess two, maybe for one or two weapons, and then tried to claim them all, only to realize that they couldn't do that. I don't have sympathy for those people. People need to check things sometimes. Okay, people need to actually look at what they're doing sometimes. So, but still, good change. Stop.
I assume it mostly affects like brand new people. Where they don't even know what the hell their weapons maintenance is.
Yeah, and then they go find it, and then they find that they have like multiple to claim or something in one weapon, and it's like a nice surprise, I guess.
Yeah, but that obviously wasn't working. It would just be one, even though they've completed it like 3 times over. So now there will be a lot of them though, and they will be pleasantly surprised.
Yay! I would say, not. I would say the last thing I think of note, the last highlight is going to lead us directly into the next topic. Which is they added something. There's like this screen on top of the anniversary. Not the anniversary. What the fuck am I talking about? On top of the assignment board, there's a small monitor. And first of all, I want to call out Ghost Ship for being stupid, because the patch note says they added the monitor. The monitor was already there, they just switched it on. And it displays a countdown for the current holiday event. Stop doing that. Holiday event, by the way. I really have an issue with them calling them seasonal events still. And I think that makes sense, right? I don't think anyone's going to fight me on that. Because the events that we get in a season are also called season. I think they're called season events, which is still bad. And this is why we call the holiday events holiday events. Not every single one is a holiday, but 90% of them are. Like the only one that isn't is the anniversary. And that can just be called the anniversary.
We can just call it an anniversary event.
Yeah, it's fine. Like it's the most singular. Obviously, the reason why that leads us into that is because the next time we're going to see that thing functioning is with the anniversary event, because that's coming up and is not as usual, but is once again bringing something extra to the game. The first anniversary did, because the first anniversary was the anniversary update. It added a couple other things, but Then you have the second one, which would have just been nothing. But then the third one comes along, and suddenly Scale Brigade exists out of nowhere, which was a massive surprise. I remember when we first saw that, I was like, oh, fourth relic armor. Dropped the pencil.
Rip.
And then we realised that no, there wasn't
Yeah,
just
you can have
armor.
mine.
There was also. Hold on. Pass it through. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then they added Scale Brigade, and then we were like, oh wow, fourth relic armor or something. But then he's like, oh, it also adds a framework. Okay, they kind of just somehow, I guess they were on like cocaine or something that week. And then fourth anniversary comes and it's just nothing there. Fifth anniversary is the fifth anniversary, and it's also positioned in a time where there really wasn't fucking anything going on. So it was very beneficial for them to have added the supporter pack number dos. But then we come to this year, and I don't know if I was expecting anything extra or not, even though they might have said that they were going to do something. And then it just so happens to be the Mark 6 armor set. Straight up in game, not DLC. It's going to be, unlockable for you an assignment during the event. After which it will disappear, only to return in season 5 in the accessory shop. So yeah, it was a really nice surprise, but like I said, I think it's a little bit obvious when you realise, it's number 6. Kind of.
The issue is, and this isn't an issue, this is a
my
hope,
head.
a dream that this has like vaguely inspired. I would love if we lived in a world where we get a new set of armor every anniversary. Like, I would love to live in a world where we're from now on we get a Mark 7, Mark 8, Mark 9, Mark 10, so forth and so forth. Because holy goddamn shit, do armor sets always go hard.
Shit. Yeah, armor sets always go hard, even if they're not the most interesting. And yeah, these obviously aren't DLC armors. No. They're obviously the Mark 6 armors, and I think that comes across. But that's exactly what we've wanted since
Air Brigade, probably.
Really? Maybe.
Yeah. That was the last time they added a normal armor, right?
It is the last time they added a normal armor set that's just available in game, and it just had to happen at some point. And I personally think the reason why it hadn't happened, or one of the reasons, was because seasons, or at least their quota of season unlockables didn't allow for it, in a sense. Or no, definitely, as in it just wasn't part of what they developed for season 1, and they just carried that formula going forward. And it's just like, well, where would we put an armor set? And it's just like, well, you either find room for it or you just don't, and you just make it and put it in the shop. Hence what's happening here. But also, I think it is very deliberately coinciding with the 6th anniversary. I remember that there was a dev Q&A response about it, where someone asked about them adding new armor sets, and they were like, oh, there's some designs in the works, not sure. And it's like, but then we're not sure if that's for season 5 or a later update. It's literally the opposite of that, I guess, where it's literally coming earlier than the actual update that's supposed to add it, which
seems to be a theme, right? Things seem to be coming out earlier than they thought.
Yes.
Maintenance and then this armor.
I don't think I necessarily want season 5 to come out earlier, though. I want to say that much.
I think season 5. I don't think they should bring season 5 forward. If they have more time, just fill it with more stuff, right?
Yeah, fill it with more overclocks.
People have gotten used to the season 5 is going to take a while. Bringing it forward a month or 2 won't solve the fact that it took a year to make. Just make when it comes out as big as possible, and as diverse and as cool and as stuff. And I mean, this, even though we're getting this Mark 6 armor earlier, technically the Mark 6 armor is coming with season 5, which is, I guess, another thing we're getting, and that's also sick. Right?
Yes.
We've yet to get armor with a season. Season 5 is bringing that. Fuck yeah, go season 5. You are doing what we've been asking for since season 1.
I mean, I guess technically, I guess the Mark 6 armor is the first bit of season 5 content that we've seen, I guess.
Pretty much, I guess, yeah.
Well, yeah. But it's also in a sense my personal opinion, I can't like call it like, season 5 content. I know that for a lot of people it will be, because there is nothing not smart about this, which sounds like a really terrible way of wording it, but season 5 is going to bring in not a lot of new people, and it means that this is actually going to be a weird thing, a cool bit of, I don't know, it could be a cool bit of FOMO. I guess new players in season 5 will see people running around with the Mark 6 and like, how did you already get that? I had to get to level 500 to get that. Obviously, we don't really know what the level requirement will be. I hope it's higher than 25.
I thought they were just adding it to the store.
Well, yeah, but
I thought
Tyler, the store items still have level requirements. If you can cast your mind back, 6 years ago, flashbang you. I think they never went higher than like the promotion level, even though it's your blue level still. Oh, maybe they did, but I personally hope it's like quite high. I think because obviously it's got to be higher than the Mark 5 armor requirement, whatever that was. So, but yeah, you'll be able to get it during the anniversary, which is going to be the main reason to play during the anniversary. And I suppose there's not really anything else to say about that.
I mean, there's the hat. It's an anniversary hat. It's got the number on it. It's quite silly. I think it is one of the better ones, though. In all fairness, it is a very given that it was always going to look bad and be very silly. It's a pretty cool one. It's a top hat made out of balloons with a 6 in it, all out of balloons.
Yeah, that's just about the coolest thing I can think of.
That's not what I said. I never said that. But this is technically close to the top hat, which they've yet to add.
Yeah,
without it being.
Where is the tuxedo? I was a small part of me was expecting that, which I think is one point we can actually dive into about the anniversary. Do we think at this point there is probably going to be something extra every anniversary? Because I think there will be.
Maybe.
I think because the anniversary specifically,
Wait, are you saying it? Because I think the armor is the something special.
Yes.
Is that what we're saying here?
Yeah.
It does seem like they want to make the anniversary a step further in what they do, what they bring to it, right? Because I don't know, it is the anniversary, isn't it? It's kind of a special event, not just because it's an event, but because it's something worth celebrating. 6 years of Deep Rock. Not many games get this far.
Yeah, and I guess like if you want to make it simple, the next couple would just be the next armor sets, I guess, and then you get to the 10th, and that's when you do the supporter 3.
Badass armor, and it's like mech suits.
Oh my
god! And then Iron Man armor. And the point is,
although you'd be kind of pushing the limits of what like a basic set of armor can be after literally the 7th.
We would be pushing a lot more than just that if we think if we're thinking about the 10th anniversary of Deep Rock, right? Like, as much as I think the Deep Rock will reach that age, I feel like their attention towards Deep Rock by 10 years is probably not going to be
if the game has been sunsetted by that point, I think the 10th anniversary would still happen though, like properly.
Probably, yeah. Even if they haven't celebrated it since like the 8th.
Exactly. Even if like the 8th was like the last one, which I don't think is going to be the case, by the way. I personally think it's going to last at least that long in terms of actual development. But that also that could be it. Who knows? The 10th one could be the end of everything. Shut the fuck up.
The thing is, it wouldn't even be the end of everything, right? Like by that point, Rogue Core would have been out for what, like 4 years? Like Rogue Core would be at what it was when seasons started happening in Deep Rock, right? Like that's like that's the kind of future we're going to be living in at that point.
Well, that's something that which you're going to learn. I think we need to talk about now the next part of the anniversary a little bit. Obviously, this is going to happen pretty soon, and we kind of need to establish. I don't know how we're going to do that. I am not, because I know last year we live streamed it, and it wasn't great. It was pretty dead when we live streamed the live stream, but I think it's going to be better this year. Do you want to know why? Because they haven't announced anything. They haven't announced like a shitty community competition or anything like that. Unless it just means the stream's going to be like a bit late, like later. That could also be the case, unfortunately. So this doesn't inherently mean we're going to get this the anniversary stream
Well,
next week.
still, when they
but-
announced the video to like make a recruitment ad, that was like at the beginning of this month, right, or at the very end of last month. It was like something like that.
I don't quite remember. I think it was right at the beginning of this. Yeah, right at the beginning of February. I think it was.
Yeah. So at this point, like, if you want to, because like whatever it is, you would expect to give people a reasonable amount of time. They need like a month from the announcement, right? Like whenever they announce it, it would be reasonable to expect a month time for people to make and then send stuff to them. So are they going to celebrate their anniversary like a month late?
No,
I don't think so. Right?
No.
So I think it is much more reasonable to assume they're just not doing it this year. Like, or like maybe the point of it is that like you're gonna have no time to do it, something like that. Like try and think of like it'll be like you have a day to make a really terrible thing, send it to us. Like that'd be a pretty funny one. Yeah, we definitely could. It's what all our videos are essentially. But yeah.
How could you?
So
I think the way we're probably going to handle that, I think we'll just watch it tangentially, and then whenever it happens, it will result in podcasts that week. It might, if it's next week, that would mean it's going to be an emergency podcast, which is always fun. Which means it would be pretty quick. It'd probably be before Saturday. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I guess we can just briefly mull over what we really want out of that in terms of what they say about Deep Rock. I guess just holistically from various sources, like on Discord and things. I know that season 5 will be pretty much the main thing, and that there will be an updated roadmap. And that road core, there might be some road core stuff, like maybe some screenshots and stuff. But I'm just thinking about the fact that do we actually want them to do that thing that I think you kind of talked about, which is like not apologizing, but do we really need them to say that season 4 was bad? Do we need them to hear? Because I'm thinking about the kind of attitude I want from specifically Mikkel and Soren during the stream. It's just like, do I want them to acknowledge those kind of things,
to say that.
or acknowledge like the response to like the road core announcement, or do I just want them to be looking forward? I don't quite know.
I want them to have a slide of the PowerPoint they have to be what we learned from season 4, right? That's what I want. They don't have to say they did anything wrong, right? They probably would if they do think that they did, but I know for a fact they learned things from season 4. They learn things every season, but I can only imagine the gold mine of lessons that season 4 was, right? And I want to see that represented, because from what they've already done, we can see they clearly have learned stuff and then been putting it into practice, right? That's already transparent with the maintenance updates. They have been hitting the nail on the head with the maintenance updates, and from what we hear from season 5, that's going to be divine as well.
I want them to reflect
They're adding
on the maintenance updates as well, I think, a little bit. Like, talk about both of them, I guess, together, and like how they sort of view that and the effect of them, and whether or not.
And I want to kind of know the future of maintenance updates as well. Would be nice.
Exactly.
Because I think as good as the game is currently, and as good as it will be when they add season 5, there is still stuff that a maintenance update approach could improve, right? Like, I'm sure there are plenty of bugs still, right? I mean, like, I'm sure there's still tons of stuff like that. But there are also, some other things that need fixing. Like, still, the beers, right? Daily special beers are still broken in one way or another. Either they display the wrong amount or they give you the wrong amount. Either way, that's a thing that's been broken for ages. That could be touched in a maintenance update. Like, I'm sure there are plenty of other things as well. I don't know what they would be. Like, there's probably maybe some status effects that could be adjusted and improved. I mean, they buffed electricity, which was good, so I'm not sure if there's anything else that really needs it. As in, I don't know. Probably not. Maybe nerfing, if anything, is more in order. Like maybe corrosion could be slightly worse, but I wouldn't want them to do that. But,
What are you saying? What are you trying to do?
yeah, like I don't know. I'm just trying to think of things because I think there are some. I mean, hell, I would love a cosmetic based maintenance updates where they try and sort out the like heavy mass of the headgears, right? Which I assume will only be worse by season 5. Like stuff like that. There are plenty of things that they're not going to do for a season that should be done, and maintenance updates have been doing those things, right? They have been hitting those things on their head pretty damn well.
Well, yeah, I
So
do
I
think
hope they keep doing them.
I do think looking at these two maintenance updates, they're kind of the two types that I would like. You could fold them into one as well for a slightly bigger one, but like the second one, the February one's got all the technical shit, got all the the please fix stuff, and I think the first one was more so like community suggestions or wants and
What
needs
the game,
wants and needs the community, but they're not bugs necessarily that they need to fix.
Yeah.
So things like adding a sorting system for the the headgears and things like that would be perfect.
or just generally improving the diversity of cosmetics.
Yeah.
But that might be a step too far.
Well, yeah. And
but,
speaking of those kinds of updates, I'm not looking for a season 6 release window, but I would like you to possibly talk about if there's any consideration towards developing a cycle for post season 5. If they know that there's going to be a way that they're going to do things, which it could be like, I don't know.
I think the issue is, Harry,
I know how they are, and that probably isn't what they're thinking about at all.
But like, it's also there is no way that they could know how that's going to go until they've released Rogue Core. That's the thing. Is once Rogue Core is out, that's when they're going to know how much time they need to spend on each update of Rogue Core, how many updates they're even thinking about Rogue Core, like how far away is it from like launch or whatever, where they can start slowing it down a little bit. Like, I don't think they could say anything on that for this anniversary, but I imagine next anniversary we would know. But hopefully, ideally, we still would get word on season 6. Like, if they just a casual statement,
the next On the Horizon stream, which I want those to happen.
Maybe,
I like that. Every half a year, that should be.
As long as they, I guess they really should draw a line that like, this and the Deep Rock anniversary stream should be mostly focused on Deep Rock. Obviously, there is publishing news to be addressed, but it should mostly be about
Deep Rock. It's a Deep Rock anniversary. And then the other one was Ghost Ship, like on the horizons.
Yeah, it was like separate stuff that they're working on, including the publishing, mostly the publishing, and then obviously Rogue Core in the end. I guess eventually, Rogue Core would have its own anniversary eventually, right? So there's something there. Which
good point, sir. Good point.
I mean, that's probably roughly going to be when the On the Horizon stream is.
Yeah, maybe the intention is for that to be that could be an intention there. I don't know, but yeah, I think that speaks to how I personally think the last year's anniversary, the stream itself was kind of just, it was dim. Would be a good way of putting it. I think it was really. And I think it has a lot to do with. I think it had a lot to do with a lot of things that they were doing, including the publishing, because that was kind of being really started around that time, and that's why it was much more encompassing of like Mikko and Soren's, I guess, just what they were thinking about. I think there was a lot of attention being taken away at that time specifically, and then also the fact that the reason why there was so little on actual like Deep Rock and what they were going to be doing with it, in like the future, was because they were in that transitionary period of sort of starting to design this this expansion, and so they really had to quickly just patch together something they could say about season 4. So it was really just
more enemies.
It was just so blank, and I think that is the main thing that I expect. And we talked about this, but I think that's going to be turned around this time. I think they said there's going to be a roadmap. It's going to be much more detailed. They're going to have a fair amount to say about season 5, not literally everything.
Yeah, but, I don't think they're going to want to hold back.
No.
Unlike every other time they've been talking about seasons since seasons really. Well, like the first one really. I think they were quite open about the first one, weren't they? I think. But
Yeah.
then from there it went
From
like they
there,
got more
they
and more
became
hush
more
hush.
secretive
Uh,
and they became less good.
Yeah, essentially, which is something that they have addressed publicly and said that they're going to change. And I think this anniversary is going to be a good um, time to see it. Really, like if we compare this anniversary to the previous one, we should be able to see just a lot more of preferably Mikkel and Soren, or more likely Mikkel, basically just
Or Mike.
spewing
I love Mike. I love
ideas.
some Mike stuff.
Yeah, Mike, because they do switch it out eventually, don't they? Like just spewing. Like I feel like Mike's going to be talking about road core a lot. I imagine he's going to have a whole section on road core where he's probably going to go hammer only on that, right? But like I think where it comes to Deep Rock, unless they get obviously switch out at some point, Mikkel is probably just going to hopefully get to say whatever the hell he wants. And
Yeah,
like he'll probably
Mikkel,
publicly say
I want just Mikkel, I want just Mikkel. I want him to be reading chat because that means that he's got no one else like choosing things to like read out to him. He'll just like
he can't read
he'll
chat.
spot
It's too much.
He'll just spot the juiciest like thing, juiciest question, and just run with it. That's the kind of thing that Mikkel would do.
Like I don't know. Yeah, he should hopefully just be able to be like, we'll probably talk about the game mode biome thing. I imagine that would come up. Someone is probably going to ask, "Are you going to add a game mode or biome?" Especially since that's kind of known, like they are, but someone will still ask. And he'll be like, "Yeah, we're currently thinking about a game mode," and then he'll drop that he likes Morkite mining the most, and that's going to be like the main inspiration for the thing, and it's going to be finally known to more than like a couple hundred people. Because I mean, those streams, they're like in the thousands, right? Spread across YouTube and Twitch, I think.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty correct.
Yeah, there's no better time for them to actually say stuff than the anniversary stream. It is the best thing to announce and discuss and stuff like that. So it is looking forward to it a lot. As long as they don't end up, I don't know, revealing some other new game they've been working on, I think everything will be all right.
I don't
like
that's not. No,
exactly.
Don't even because it's just not going to be. It's not going to happen. It's just nonsense.
The worst. They've already played that horrendous card on the Horizon stream, so it's only going to be uphill from there.
I think it's just kind of crazy in general that they're working on a new game, and yet that somehow resulted in them putting out more frequent updates to Deep Rock. It's just. I love that. I love that. Better is not subjective, but slightly more nuanced in this situation, though. I think.
Yes.
Better, not in the sense of oh wow, look how much more there is. It's nothing like that. But yeah, still, it's really interesting. And to me, it's culminating to, at the very least, much better than things were a year ago. Straight up. In pretty much every way, in fact. Especially given that the next season is going to release pretty much the same time as season 4 did anyway, and the fact that we've had multiple updates in like recent memory. One came out earlier than they expected, and once again the anniversary is actually bringing something, but it's also the anniversary is cool. We're getting Mark 6 armor that's going to lift it up a lot, but it's also in the I guess light of an update that's just happened, and in also the upcoming light at the end of the tunnel of a massive update, they're actually going to have a lot to say about. It's going to be, the backdrop to the anniversary is also much more clear than it was last year as well. There was basically nothing going on around the anniversary last year, like literally nothing going on, and that's just completely flipped on its head. So I don't know. It's not much has changed in terms of like having like a super epic mega reason to play Deep Rock, but they've done a really good job despite things to make the game feel pretty good to just think about and just be a part of, compared to normal. And I think people are just like, they need to. I think Ghost have done a really good job at keeping a level head in not like drowning in like the compliments, and also just not being shaken by the opposite of that as well. I think
Yeah.
they're probably more along.
It just
I just sometimes I do feel like we're on a more similar page than they are with like those with the extreme people. And I think that's the right place to be. I think they've got.
it just seems.
I think they. I do actually feel like they know what they're doing. That's what I'm saying.
They have such a firm grip on the wheel right now, right? Like they know exactly where they're going, and they know exactly how to get there. And it's like it's as simple as, and it's arguably because they're and it's impressive actually considering they got two wheels, right? they got fucking
driving
over
two.
here,
They're driving two
over
cars.
here.
Can you imagine? It's like they're on the road,
Yeah.
and it's like the guy is like, the ghost ship is like in between the two cars, like hanging off of them, and he's got like two broomsticks, and he's like trying to drive two cars at the same time, and yeah, he's actually,
They got like
they're actually
one
driving
European car, one
smoothly.
American car.
Yeah, it would have to be, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So otherwise, it would steer. Well, no, it's not.
Both.
No, they're the same. But basically what it means is that the one on the right is road core, so it's actually the wheel is a bit closer, and the one on the left is deep rock, so the wheel's a bit further away, but they can still reach it and somehow manage to keep the car like running straight and not crashing it.
Yeah, even from a distance.
I don't know what this weird metaphor theme is today, but I like
think
it.
it works.
I like it a lot
because whatever they're doing is working. But yeah, obviously this maintenance update isn't the most revolutionary thing in the world.
No.
It's probably not going to get me playing any more than I was already, which is every time there's an event or update.
Yep.
But everything looks good to me. Like the beer is fun. That armor breaking mod being fixed is going to improve a lot of things, even without directly improving them, right? Like it will change a lot of builds that people keep talking about, right? Like I think something to do with the hurricane is going to change a lot.
Yeah, I haven't actually tried that yet. I really should actually. It's
yeah,
pretty big one.
And obviously the PGL on that. But the PGL without the fire, is it like that? Have you been trying it?
Anders said maybe to a PGL rework. I fucking hope so. I really fucking hope so. And do you want to know why? The PGL rework needs to happen so people can realise that it needed to happen. Because no one's asking for it. Right? Except that one guy who asked Anders about it. But
this is like kind of step one, right? Like this is people, because of this patch, are gonna have tried to use the armor break mod, and now it works, and it's still awful, right? Like, so it's kind of I think this might actually cause some people to use the PGL without the fire.
Do you want to know what it is? Do you want to know what it is? The problem is with the PGL is that you can't build it to one-shot slashers without Fat Boy or Hyperpropellant or Incendiary Compound. There's no way of just attaining enough direct like area damage without any of those things to kill a slasher in one shot. And that's the break point that needs to be able to hit. You need to be able to take at most one damage mod, and then you should be able to kill slashers with the base, like essentially the base weapon. That's the level of strength that the PGL should be at to just justify anything about it. Because just for me, I don't know. I'm still in this position of not just being with it as being good enough of a gun at all. It's like weird. It's just still this really weird just incongruency between me and every other fucking engineer, and I still have a massive issue with it. So, fix it. Fix it. I don't know. Whatever. We need to quickly get through some comments. I think we don't have many of any value. But first thing I wanted to point out was a really dumbass thing I read on the Steam comments again, and it's just a really quick one. There was this guy who went on this really stupid rant that was hilarious, and genuinely I think could end up doing a video like we did last time of bullying people. So we might, dissect this guy's comment eventually, but as usual, keep names out of it, and we'll even then. But I remember him saying, this is about this February update. It's like, oh, this is pathetic for like 6 months. This is like 2 weeks worth of work.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a doers.
It's not just the 2 weeks thing that was funny, right? It's also the fact that he said 6 months, which is just like, what? There was nothing 6 months ago. Season 4 was 8 months ago. The maintenance update was 4 months ago. What was 6 months ago?
Yeah,
why did he say 6 months? What was? It's like, did he forget about the last update as well? I guess so. I don't know. It's just that's just crazy, and it's like that's the kind of people you need to not listen to because they don't have their head on straight, and that's fine. But I tell you who does have their heads on straight is Barrel Vision viewers. Is your chair? What's?
Is this what their heads are like?
Oh, yeah, I thought you like your chair broke or something.
No.
Stop it. Anyway, hold on. Let's get the thing.
wonder.
It's gonna. Oh.
Oh wow!
All right. Looks like you're gonna have to go with. Ow. No. I think I can do it actually. There it is. There's the comments. Right. First up, we got the Famuel, who was hoping that there'd be more bug fixes in the February update, given the fact that they stated they were going through the high priority stuff on the website. But the arm brake fix is a long time coming. The revelation that the Shockwave mod on the boomstick was always meant to be an arm brake mod is amazing. Can't wait to try jet fuel arm brake, and I wonder if Rocket Barrage will actually be good. So I don't know what that thing was about the Shockwave, because it's nonsense. The Famuel. Basically, what they did, what they actually changed was they made it so that the Blast Wave does inherit the armor braking if you take the armor braking mod, but the armor braking mod and the Shockwave mod occupy the same tier, so can't really have those collide. But yeah, I think some people were wanting more, but then they would have just, if they wanted to put any more in it, they would have just taken longer unnecessarily. I think this really was just a good opportunity for them to get the notion out there of them having a quick turnaround on something. Regardless of what's in it, just the fact that this came out earlier is honestly what makes it like a cool thing.
I also feel like it was just it feels like it was just them like they had to get out the maintenance, this maintenance update, and then they had to get out season 5, and it feels like that they were like they really wanted to just work on season 5. So they were like, let's just get this maintenance thing out of the way, right? Let's patch the bug that everyone wants us to patch. Let's give it something good. Let's get it out of the way. We'll do the anniversary, and then we're working on season 5. Like, it really feels like they've been like hyping themselves up to make season 5, and they're just like, fuck it, get out of the way, maintenance update. Like, do essentially the bare minimum. Not that it's bad, but like it's like patching a bug that everyone wants patching and like adding a thing, which compared to the other maintenance update is still smaller.
Well, yeah, but in a lot of ways, I'm kind of glad that it's just a completely, just so non-filler, but also completely filler, if you know what I mean, at the same time.
It just feels like they wanted to do it, get out of the way. Like honestly, they said they were going to do a maintenance update.
For me, it just the only purpose this update serves is just the fact that it happened. And there was an update that was pretty soon after the last one. And it just happened. It's not even going to do much for me in terms of actually playing. I just like the fact that it happened. So I'm really glad that it's not like a really weighty update and they just, whipped it. And, if they didn't put the beer in there, it would have been even quicker, but then it also would have been literally nothing. Would have been pointless. So, I think the way it is actually perfectly fine by me, which is an update that probably isn't going to be remembered, but...
No,
that's kind of fine. It's kind of fine.
Sacrificing itself to give more time to season 5. Is hopefully how I
think that's perfectly fine. So this is from the boss fights tier list from Doorframe. Haven't watched it yet, but I just want to say that I love Betsy. To which I responded, and I've got some bad news.
Yeah, I was going to respond to that myself, but I saw you'd already responded to it. I'm like, yeah, that is how that went.
Or Betsy. Here's hoping for I'm not inherently hoping for another boss fight in season 5, but would be nice if it found its way in naturally. The Mactera Fleetwing comes to mind. So yeah, sure, whatever. I think this was in response to our last podcast when we talked quickly about like different genres for spin-offs specifically. Like from publishing, but like Deep Rock spin-offs. And it's from Monkey. Survival horror, 100%. Yeah, so survival horror is like half of Deep Rock's DNA, which is kind of completely overridden though by it being like a really fun, like wacky shooter at the same time. So,
goofy.
I think a dedicated one would really help, like, I guess solidify that aspect of Deep Rock's DNA if they had like a survival horror type spin-off.
Like it's difficult to picture with the way the game currently is. You really
Yeah.
have to strip it of all of its identity and then go back in.
It's
Right? You need
what?
like you have to go back in, right? And will it play down the dwarf thing? Just you're like a small bloke, right? And then you play up the cave, where the caves can get really tight,
You
and
just say
really
plate
cramped.
up.
Play up. I think that was a Freudian slip, Harry. I think you're just thinking about what you want to play out of this.
No.
But
I'm not, I didn't mean that. I want to stab you. I want to stab you.
all right, fair enough. And then you play up the
Oh.
whole glyphid thing, where it's like hordes of giant ants, right? But you would probably tone down the hordes until like a certain point in the game. But basically, play to the claustrophobia of the caves and the horror of giant insects. And I think you'll be in a good place.
Well,
Which
basically, it
technically
should
that's
be
similar to the Flesh Pit game.
what a survival horror deep rock game should be is the tagline minus the third D. It should be danger and darkness, basically. Because actually taking the dwarves out of it is what you need to do. You basically need to be playing as like silent human characters who like they still like exert themselves. You'll hear like grunting and like breathing and things like that. But for the most part, you just be like a scared like early days like deep rock employee who's like sent down to like perform like maintenance on like Omen towers or whatever, something like that. That's what. So you'd be like an engineer as well. You wouldn't be like a combat guy. You'd just be like a guy who's sent down to like maintain deep rock like mining equipment that they just shot down into the planet before thinking about like aliens. Like this is before deep rock would even know about the glyphids. They've just shot down a bunch of like mining equipment to like work on its own, and then in like you are like the guy who finds out that it's being like attacked by like aliens and stuff.
And you have to get out of there to like report that essentially.
Yeah, something like
that's,
that.
Like,
yeah,
the mission.
yeah. So
Yeah,
get on that.
it's just
Get on that.
It's
A
just
different
rife.
developer. Not Ghost
Yeah,
Ship.
it's just absolutely rife with genres. Deep Rock, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I think that's where we're going to leave it today.
All right.
Once again, I would say it's a podcast in itself that doesn't have too much fat on it either, which is good because hopefully, relatively soon, we will have some fat to chew on, more legitimately. As in, I think this makes sense for what we have to go on right now. But I think we are actually finally on the border of getting some actual juice. So it'd be very. I think it would be very. It's not the kind of time to be putting out like a 2.5 hour podcast. What I'm saying. So I think we're good where we're at for now, and until something happens. Actually, well, we'll see you again on Thursday, I think.
What about you?
Thanks.
You're welcome. I scared the cat.
Oh, okay. Whatever. All right. If you enjoyed this episode of the Bad Vision Podcast, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment your favourite cat, and if you want to stay on top of everything to do Deep Rock and Roadcore, click that bell as well. And that's the show. Say goodbye, Tyler.
Goodbye, cat. And Ripley.
Yeah, what a fucking idiot.
Now you end the video.